Erev Tov Kiryat Motzkin. Good morning in Ann Arbor, and greetings to friends from around the world who are joining with us on this Sunday. It's been a bit chilly for a few of us, okay, but we are dressed appropriately for a Sunday, and we hope you all are as well. Glad to have you here with us. My name's Wayne Firestone. We enjoy learning about Israel, quelling about Israel, learning something new. Sometimes it's a recipe, sometimes it's an individual, sometimes it's a book, sometimes it's a place. We did a great virtual tour to Haifa last week. I didn't realize there were so many Haifa enthusiasts out there. Today we're focused on education and educators. And I want to start, before I introduce the wonderful panel and discussion we're about to have, by asking you a question about an educator in your life. It could be anyone, dating back to Gan, dating back to high school or university. But if you had a teacher who had an impact on your life, I'd love it if you would just put either their name or the name of the school or institution, Beit Sefer, whatever it is. Put something, show a little love to the educators today. I'll even throw out there, since both of my parents are educators, they had a great influence on my life, and I want to be thankful and grateful to my parents, who are often in the audience with you all as well. So let us know about an educator who had an impact in your life. It will be one of the things that we're looking at today, not only when an individual teacher has an impact, because we all can appreciate that, but today we're actually looking at something even more broadly. That is, how someone can impact systemically on creating a new form of education within a particular community in Israel. And today you're going to hear about such a story and such an individual with Rabbi Menachem Bombach. He is a Mandel Fellow. He has focused his attention after an upbringing in the Charedi community, where he recognized at a certain point in his life there needed to be a new way to do education in the modern state of Israel that was beneficial to all the students and all the individuals involved. You will hear this remarkable story about the Netzach educational network, and actually even get to see some of the activities and a display of what otherwise is maybe a more quiet story. But when we look for quiet stories that not everybody knows about, we don't have to look any further than our friend, our chaver, Yossi Vardi, because I've described him many times on these fireside chats, but I don't think I've ever described him as having the most eclectic Rolodex Israel. I mean, truly, it's remarkable. He brings us experts who know about mosquitoes. He brings us experts who know about the far depths of the universe. He brings us experts living across borders who are trying to bring people together over those borders. And sometimes those borders are within Israel. So, Yossi, you've won the Israel Prize. You've won many accolades before, but I don't know if you've ever won the top Rolodex maven in Israel before. So with that honor, let me turn over to you. Tell us a little bit about this conversation and why it's so important for you that people have a better understanding of the bridge builders between secular, scientific, academic, Charedi, Arab, all the different sectors in Israeli society. Why is this topic at this moment in your life so important to you?
Okay, first of all, thank you for this segue. A small correction. I didn't get the Israel Prize, but otherwise, thank you very much for all the nice thing you
got our Israel Prize.
You say you said, and yes, I believe that the one strategy which will keep Israel strong and going and flourishing, and a democracy and running a just society, is by what I call radical inclusion. Israel is a quilt which is made from many, many groups of different people, different languages, different backgrounds, different beliefs, different persuasions, different religions, different sects within the religions. I just learned that we have in Israel 9 different Catholic sects, if I can call it. And I strongly convinced, and I'm not the only one, that the key for our success and survival is to find a way how to accommodate each other, not to agree with each other. We don't have to agree with each other. Rabbi Bombach can continue to run his lifestyle and I can continue my lifestyle, but we have to feel that we are serving at the end one large cause and that we should respect the right of the other group to live its life the way they want to do it, provided they appreciate our right for the same thing. And the people, Wayne, which I bring time and again to this excellent platform are people which are personified this belief. And tonight, I don't know, in Israel it's tonight's session, in the US it's the today's session, will be devoted through our conversation with Rabbi Bombach to understand a little bit better the Charedi society, the Ultra-Orthodox. Today, Ultra-Orthodox, I think, represent 12% of the population. Rabbi Bombach, what is the...
While you are talking, it becomes 13%.
Okay. And they are growing very fast. They play more and more important role, and more important than that, they are really represent the highest potential for growth in the Israeli society if they put their eye on it. And as like any other big group, they have their great strength, but also some issues that they are wrestling with, and today we will try to understand it a little bit better. I want to thank Rabbi Bombach for willing to share with us his views, his experience, his background. Don't take it for granted. It's not an easy task, so this is really very much appreciated. Now we will go into the business after we finished all the niceties. So, Rabbi Bombach, are you willing, please, to share with us your timeline, your life until now, where you were born, where did you go to kindergarten, school, how was your family, friends, etc., until you reach the point to what you are doing now? Please go ahead.
Thank you, Yossi. I appreciate so much this great opportunity to be a part of this session, and all of the people who join us. Thank you so much. I just arrived in America, in Manhattan, so I have the great day in New York. So I always like to start with my story that when I was invited to a roundtable at the Knesset that deals between Israel and diaspora. And the previous member of Knesset, Mike Loren, asked me, what's your connection to this table? And I said, I'm also from diaspora. I immigrated to Israel from Mea Shearim in the age of 20. So he said, oh, you come from the real diaspora, and now you can lead a table. So like my dear friend, Dr. Vardi, I'm also part of the Startup Nation. I started a school to affect the Charedi education in Israel. Yossi has built over 85 high-tech companies, and I only opened 12 schools so far. But unlike Dr. Vardi, I was not educated at the prestigious Technion University. I was educated in Mea Shearim, and until the age of 20, I only spoke Yiddish. One
Can you
day.
explain what is Mea Shearim? Because I'm not sure that
Yeah,
all
Mea
were...
Shearim is very a close neighborhood and a very extreme neighborhood. I have to say, I have great memories for Mea Shearim. I think I had a privilege to know great people and have a huge nostalgia for Mea Shearim, but still it's very, very extreme. It's super, what do you imagine? It's much more, very, very extreme community. And because they wanted to protect themselves from the outside world, they don't want the Western values should come in. They just want to protect themselves. So that's, I grew up there. That's why in those years, for 30 years ago, it was such a close place with high walls, and you didn't have any access to outside. Even I think very rare that I met even secular Jews. And so that's why in school, elementary school, I spoke Yiddish. And then with my in-house, we spoke Yiddish, and with my grandfather, mother, we spoke Yiddish. So that's why I didn't know. Now, Mea Shearim, maybe they want to continue the same heritage and to make it continue to be close, but it's impossible in the virtual time. So it's impossible. And I think there is a lot of people who also speak Hebrew now. But what I want to say is that one day someone woke me up and showed me that what I was missing, and I decided to get educated. So I first learned Hebrew so that I could become now to lead something in my country. And then I studied English, and I realized that there is a world of opportunities that
This was at what age?
It was in the age of, I started in the age of 20. I start learning, studying. You know, I had a very sad story. I become a counselor for Russian immigrants. And one day came to me a child, he spoke Russian and said, Menachem, can you do me a favor? I need to do some homework in mathematics. And I didn't know. So he said, oh, mathematics is quite hard. Can you help me in English? And I didn't know ABC. So, you know, I felt really, I know I come from very painful point. So that's why I know exactly what it means to be ignorant. I was in those moments, you know, I feel very bad. But so I just want to say that then I studied math and I understood the Charedi.
You studied math on your own, or you had a teacher?
No, I took, in English, I studied by myself, but in math, I get help from. But you know what I've learned? I understood the Charedi earn just 68 cents on the dollar in Israel, and almost 50% of Charedi men are unemployed. That's why 60% of Charedi children live below the official poverty line, and it's not okay. But I want to add something more, that I studied public policy in a university. I realized that Israel is going to suffer from, it's going to be economic disaster, let's say, because 2040, the Haredim will make up 40% of all high school graduates in Israel. So if they don't start earning money and paying taxes, the rest of the country will be paying for them, and that's not good for Israel. So I want to share with you what happens when I decided I want to do something to change and to influence my community. I love my community. I always saying, if you want to influence your community, you have to come with love, so and loyalty. So I want to share with you, Yossi, a very interesting story. I think you're going to say after that if it was interesting or not. But before I decided to start the first Hasidic high school in Beitar, I worked for 3 months to convince people just to come to an event, just to listen to the new idea. They can educate their kids in a school that combines general studies and holy studies and Limudei Kodesh. So I worked very hard, and for 3 months, we said, everybody said, oh, we're going to come. And then it was a huge list. And I took a nice place, 150 places in Beitar, and I saw great food. And I was so excited. I felt it's going to be a moment change in history. And I wait, as you know, it was 7 o'clock, and I see no one is coming. And I just, I know the Israelis comes usually always late, so it's not, it's not surprising. But it was 7:15 and still no one came. And I have 150 places, a huge, great food. and a huge, nice presentation. I was so frustrated. But then I called my assistant and I asked her, can you tell me, maybe you changed, there is some, maybe some of the details you write, maybe it's not, I don't know. If you can see now, she said, everything is okay. It's the same place, the same time, the same date. And by the end, I can share with you that just five couples came. And I asked one, I didn't show any presentation. I was really destroyed. I felt terrible. And one of the couples, when I asked them, can you share with me what brings you to this event? Would you consider sending your kids to the school? And she said, I will tell you the truth, I don't have kids. So I asked her, what brings you to this event? So she said, I will tell you that it's going to be great food tonight. And I was so sad. But I don't know why, but when I get up in the morning, I said, it's not a question of a demand. We need to create a reality. And I start this school with 14 kids. But this was my first challenge. My second challenge was much more
just
tough.
a minute before the second challenge, just to again explain to our audience. Number one, what age this happened? How old you were?
It was for 9 years ago. This was not what motivates me to open the school is because I start the pre-academic program for Charedi in Hebrew University. And I started this program, it still exists, but then I so many of them just dropped out. They couldn't survive.
We will come to it. We will come to it. So this was nine years ago?
Yeah, no, the pre-academic program I started in 2012.
Yeah,
but the school I started in 2014.
14. Now, please explain to our audience why is the reservation from the Charedi community to what you are trying to do?
And one more, Yossi, Rabbi Bombach, we have at least one viewer who only knows Mea Shearim from the Netflix series of Shtisel. So can you describe and just give an explanation when you say you were in the diaspora of just how close that was to...
so many things which are clear to you are so alienated to the regular secular Israeli or regular secular American, Jewish American. So we need to go a little bit deeper into it. So what is the issue with the Charedi education?
Okay, so I would say that the Charedi education, we focus very much in Torah studies. And therefore, there is no space for general studies. In the elementary school, we teach maybe 2 or 3 hours a week, some writing skills, that's all, in some math. But since you become Kirtan, you enter the yeshiva, you're gonna just study Torah. I mean, there is no any space. This is one, I will say why. Because after the Holocaust, the all previous yeshivot, the Torah learning that was before the Holocaust was destroyed completely. And it was very a huge and a famous righteous person. His name was Yeshayahu Koreletz, the Chazon Ish, and he felt it's a time to rebuild the world of Torah learning. And I think it was very important. In my eyes, studying Torah is something very, very, very important. But he also never imagined it's going to continue as a country. You can't just take elite people and give them the opportunity to study Torah, but not the majority. This is not the way it's not sustainable. It's not true. And there is, I think 70, 80% couldn't sitting all day long and studying Torah. I also by myself, it's really hard. So, and the way that everyone just sitting in those kinds of schools, they don't have any skills. They don't have any access to outside world. They don't understand, even if you cannot read English or listen to English, you understand the majority of the world is not a part of you. And that's mean no jobs, no to entering the workforce. So this is really frustrating and also in a part of our community. We don't also want any outside influences. I just for 3 or 4 years ago, I was in Cleveland and the rabbi there told me, you want to see like Charedi Me'asharim? I said, yes, sure. So he took me to the Amish. And there was something similar, just to be closed and not to protect your values, to protect your ideal, to protect your ethos. So this is why we're afraid from outside, from the Western world, and from sometimes for good reasons. But it's a new world. It's a new world, and it's impossible to be part of the world. Why?
So Rabbi Bombach, the situation is that Charedi kids don't study English and don't study mathematics. Charedi boys,
yeah.
Charedi girls do study.
So there is some Charedi, yeah. So in the Charedi girls study much more, but still also, they will never have the full matriculation. And that's why even 78% of the women are working, but still a lot of them, and the majority, has very low income because they don't have the right tools. Again, it's something very important. That's why we have in our schools. So, okay, so let's go back a little bit because I want very much to share with you some of my feelings. And it was a viral film. I just want to say something about that. I just mentioned what was my second challenge. My second challenge was how I can educate kids that they should be a part of the world, a part of Israel. And as you know, in Israel, we have the Charedi community, the Ultra-Orthodox community, not joining the army. So when it comes the Memorial Day, in the army Memorial Day, so we don't know what to do, and usually we just ignore. So I said, if I want my students to be a part of the world, we need to make a ceremony. So I made a ceremony, and I want to share with you because it becomes very viral. It gives you a glimpse inside my first school.
Before the film, if I may ask you one question. You started your first school in 2014.
Yeah.
You started it as your own endeavor. It was not part of the community or part of organization. You were a loner with persuasion. And before you show the film, what is now the state of Netzach? How many schools, how many students, what ages?
So I would say since 2017, we have opened 10 more schools. We have now 12 schools. We have schools in Jerusalem, Bet Shemesh, and Yossi, by yourself, you had a great visit when you came to one of our schools, and thank you so much for your time you dedicate for us. And so we are hoping to open a school soon, and also in Ramat Gan, for example, so that boys from Bnei Brak can study with us. And we have 6 elementary schools, and some of them are specifically for Hasidic kids, who wants them to learn secular subjects as well as Kodesh curriculum. So you should see these cute little boys with their pairs doing science experiments. It's amazing. And I want to say something else, that in September 2020, we opened an online school, Eshkolot. I will show you something, also a film about that. You know what, Yossi, if you let me, let's start with the first film. Please. And then I will say something different, okay?
The screen is yours.
Okay, thank you so much. So please, I'm going to show you. Thank you. Now.
צהריים טובים לכולם. אני הולך עכשיו לתת לכם תמונה. אני רוצה שתגידו לי מה התמונה הזאת מעוררת בכם. אוקיי? אני רוצה שתסתכלו טוב, תתבוננו במשך דקה אחת. תסתכלו טוב בתמונה, אני רוצה שתנסו לחשוב מה זה מעורר בכם. האם מישהו רוצה להגיד לי מה התמונה הזאת מעוררת בו באופן אישי? מה הוא מרגיש שהוא מסתכל?
אני משתתף איתו בצער, וגם סוג של פחד.
תודה. כן.
שהוא מתגעגע מאוד לאביו.
למה הוא מתגעגע לאבא שלו?
בגלל שאין לו אותו עכשיו, אז
סוג של חוסר אונים, הוא לא יודע מה לעשות עם עצמו, הוא פשוט נשכב על הקבר ונרדם.
תנסו לחשוב על ילד קטן שאבא שלו יצא להילחם כדי שהרבה אנשים יוכלו ללמוד תורה, כן? והוא מתעכב, ואמא מנסה להגיד אולי הוא יחזור, ועובר עוד יום ועוד יום, ועדיין לא יודעים, ועד שבא מישהו ובא לבשר להם שהוא נהרג. תנסו לחשוב, להיכנס שנייה לחוויה של הילד הקטן הזה, תנסו לחשוב האם בכלל החוויה הזאת יכולה אי פעם בחייו להשתנות. אני מדבר עכשיו ממקום של רגש עמוק שדיברנו עליו כל הזמן, רגש של הכרה טובה. שיש אנשים שהם עושים את מה שהם עושים מתוך אמונה שהם באים להגן על הארץ הזאת. אנשים שמשלמים מחירים מאוד מאוד כבדים, מבלי להיכנס איפה אנחנו עומדים בזה, אוקיי? אבל זה מאוד מאוד ברור שאי אפשר להתעלם מהמקום הזה.
זה יום מורכב עבור הציבור החרדי ועבור בומבך. איך מתווכים אותו לתלמידים שמעולם לא ציינו את היום הנורא הזה.
זה סיפורים שונים, כל שניים. אוקיי? אני מציע לכם שתקראו את זה לא קריאה שטחית, אלא קריאה מעמיקה.
צריכו במקום. לא, אני זוכר סיפור. הוא נמצא בפיגוע.
נתי, בבקשה.
זה מדובר כאן על רועי קליין, שהוא התאבד נשכב על רימון כדי להציל את חיי חבריו. בלי קשר לעוצמה ולאמיצות לעשות כזה דבר, למות על קידוש השם ולהציל כל כך הרבה אנשים, ועשה את המעשה הגיבור הזה במקום להינצל ולהמשיך לחיות חיים רגילים. מה שכל אדם היה רוצה או עושה לעשות. הוא צעק שמע ישראל, שזה מראה על סוג של אמונה ישר בשנייה.
שברגע הכי קריטי בחייו, נכון?
מיד.
הכי מתמסר וקפץ שמע ישראל. יופי, תודה רבה. תודה רבה למצוא. מה שאנחנו יכולים לעשות, להגיד פרקי תהילים לכל חייל עם השם שלו ושם ההורים שלו. כל אחד יגיד את הפרק שלו ויזכיר את השם של החייל שהוא נהרג. אז חיים מנחם, אתה תחלק כאן, בסדר? בשורה הזאת. תשימו לב שלמטה יש שם של החייל.
בצהוב.
בצהוב, כן. אז בבקשה, אנחנו יוצאים בשקט, כל אחד מחזיק את הדף ואומר. תפילו לדוד, עתי אדינוי אוזנכו ענני, קוני והביינוני, שומרו נפשי, כחוסידוני. אוי שעבדכו עתו, אלוהי אבותיך אלכו, חונני אדינוי. שיעור ב'.
I just want to share. So as you can see, this is what is the second year in the school, and yes, was a great challenge. How to educate Charedi kids? They should be a part of Israel, identify with the pain in Israel. I can say something about that, but I would like to share with you a very small story. If you understand the secular community in Israel and the Charedi community, the relationship is not so well, right? There is some tension between, and it was the guy who came to me after it was published, this film, and said, he was Charedi. He become Bal Tshuva, if you know what is meaning. He was secular and now become Bal Tshuva, but his mother is 87 years old. She's a Holocaust survivor, and she lives in a kibbutz. And she didn't want to talk to him for 17 years because he becomes Ultra-Orthodox. So they did try to send for the mediators, people who are expertise to create relationships, but 17 years, nothing. And last night, that's the guy told me. Last night, she asked for the whole family to come to her house, to the kibbutz. And then she said, before I'm going to say something, I would like all of you should watch together with me this film, what you watch now. And then they watched the film. And she said, I'm so sorry for those 17 years. I didn't know there is some Ultra-Orthodox Charedi that respect Jewish soldier. So this is a way sometimes you can make bridges. It's unbelievable. So was the second challenge. And I want to share with you something. In September 2020, we opened an online school. The name of the school is Eshkolot. We saw that Charedi families were getting computers and internet during the lockdown. So we said, perhaps the older kids in the family can use these computers in the evening and study math and English and science online. So we got a few education experts who had nothing to do during the lockdown, and we built a platform just like you, Yossi. And now we have 20,000 students.
Wow.
It's unbelievable. We teach them English, math, and physics. During the day, they go to yeshiva, and in the evening, they study secular subjects, but with a totally kosher curriculum. I mean, it's nothing inappropriate. That's important for us. So this is a huge and a special project. And I want to share with you also another film. This film, I will share with you. I'm not going to show it for no one. It's a secret film. I just give it just a present for the people who join us. But the version is going to be published after this session. We're going to take it down because it's very complicated, and for some reasons to show this film. But why I asked for 3 parents, for 3 families, would the kids have access to our online school? And I asked them, can you share with us your story that shows the gap between you and your kids? And I made for them a film. It's very short. So please, if you can show the film, but also again, it's going to be just for your eyes and not something that I can publish for so many, many reasons. So, bavakasha, can you watch together with me? So, Yossi, you want to ask me something? I can continue speaking for 2 weeks, I promise you. I won't just be focused. And I also would like...
We want to leave some time for questions and answers and reaction of the audience, but I will ask you last question, which will have 2 parts. Where will you be in 10 years, and where the Charedi community will be in 10 years from now?
Wow. Wow. Wow, this is a really seminar question. Wow, I just want to say that it's really hard to anticipate in the future. I think it's also really hard to, we can anticipate numbers, but not identities. So I really believe that we're going to get the 10% of the community, of the normal community, because now we have 10% of modern Haredim, we have another 30% who are conservative Haredim with modern touch. So if we can get 10% of this community, and we will get there, I think there is good signs that we're going to get that. I want to say it's a huge responsibility, and I take it very seriously. I believe that many people feel like I do, but don't have people don't have the confidence to stand up and lead. Every day, we are meeting parents and listening to what they want. And I realized that, what the Charedi community wants for their family and the future is not necessarily reflected in how they vote in election. And this is something that I still believe is going to change soon, regarding your question.
Do you get more increasing support of the mainstream, or you still kind of?
There was a very nice story before the election. One of the greatest Hasidut, I mean, the Hasidic community is one of the greatest rabbi, the greatest community, has thousands of families, is the Belze Hasidim, and he was agreed to put inside English and Math and his regular schools. And just the Netanyahu promised him to finance him, to give him the full budget, even is not putting inside because of political reasons. But the fact that he declared that he is happy and ready to put inside, that's mean it's a huge movement. And you know what? Everybody needs to raise his enemy, so he can say now, I'm going to do it, but not like him. So I'm very happy to be the not like him. And it's not about me, it's about the future of Israel. So that's why you asked me, it's about optimism. I'm a radical, moderate person. It's important to have people who are passionate, but not extreme. Patient, I mean.
Yeah, but
so
for the last 9 years, you are walking against the main wind.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's not easy. By the way, one of our viewers just mentioned that her grandson and granddaughter are studying in Netzach in Bet Shemesh.
Oh, amazing.
And she says it's an excellent school.
Wow, thank you so much. I'm really happy to hear about that. Thank you so much. It's a great surprise.
Okay, we can go like this for the next 3 hours, but Wayne, I would like to transfer the baton to you and ask you to run the Q&A session.
Wonderful.
So far, thank you. And you can, I think that you cannot applaud the speaker, but you can appreciate him through the chat if you want. And Wayne, the floor is now yours. And Menachem, you should continue and do the great job you are doing. You are an amazing young guy, 46 years old. You may be a grandfather, in the Charedi community, but for us, you are a baby, and the work you are doing is really very, very inspiring.
Thank you so much, Yossi. I appreciate so much your time with you.
Inspiring is one of the comments. Utterly profound is one of the comments. Kol HaKavod is one of the comments. We've heard from Beit Shemesh, the excellent school. People, first of all, thanks for sharing with us both of those insights to literally take us inside of a world that, shtisel aside, most people really don't have an understanding of what those discussions look like. There are several questions that we've received that ask about the girls and the women in these families. You depict that in the second film, where a young girl is actually helping her Abba figure out how to cut and paste on a computer something for secular children that they learn at a very, very young age in Israel and in other parts of the world, obviously. But in the community you grew up in would not be the kind of thing that someone learned. So how have you seen from the students who are returning home? Your students are boys, so there is a question about how the girls are being educated. So maybe we'll start there. And then secondly, when your boys and the families that are returning, can you share a little bit about what their reactions have been to the boys in your school, coming back with these secular schools and bringing it into the home? Is it positive? Is it negative? Is there pushback?
And Wayne, there is a question from one of our viewers, Helen Fraze, how you are funding all this operation.
So I would like to start with the last one.
3 questions.
Okay, so I would like to start with the last one because it's I love this question just because people It got my heart when people are identified with the mission, because I'm a very little person, very simple person with a huge dream for the future of Israel. Israel will not survive if our community is not going to be a part of the workforce. So we are lucky enough that 80%, almost 80% comes from the government, but still I need to raise a lot of money. That's why I'm now in New York, and I'm working very hard. And absolutely, people who are identified or know people who want to invest in this huge movement, I would be very, very happy. We have a huge special board also in America, also in Israel. And Professor Jonathan Halevi is the president in Israel, is the president of Charedi Hospital. So he's the head of our board in Israel, is very involved. And I'm just going back to the what girls. So yes, we have also girls' schools. We have a high school for girls and the elementary school for girls. We want, because, we realized that the boys who learn in our schools will need wives. who are well educated and open, to engaging with the world. And for the sisters of the Bachurim, sometimes families face enormous social stigma because maybe they choose different places, so it's not the regular places. So that's why we have girls, and we have also great, great results. We're going to show, and we have already great results. We have, I have many, many graduates. I have now one of my graduates now become the first Charedi activist in climate change. He's involved, he's writing, he's speaking, he's demonstrating, he's doing a lot of things. Everybody knows him. And this is a kind of the future, this is very important. And maybe I can say something about the ideology. I want to share with you that, what leads the art of Netzach ideology is that we will not compromise on our religious values. Our school, our Charedi, and our students are expected to learn Torah and Gemara at the highest level. We have to keep the standards high in every subject, because the parents are, they entrusting us with the children, and they want them to be the best. So they need to be able to swim against the tide, and so they need to be strong swimmers.
Well, that's really interesting. You're pointing out that by adding to the curriculum, you're not talking about diluting the quality and level of the religious education. We have a question that just came in from Arlene asking about whether you're in dialogue with Haredi communities outside of Israel, including in New York, where you are now, about your model of education, or is this starting distinctly as an Israeli discussion?
Wow, that's a good question. New York education, I don't know enough to comment on the system in America, but I have one student from New York who came to Israel for 5 years ago to study in my yeshiva high school in Beitar. He is actually a Satmar Chassid. Satmar, very famous, huge community. And his friends told me that they couldn't find a Hasidic school in America where he could live and learn his Hasidut on one end and also learn secular subjects. So this boy is now back in the state, starting, as he finished his school, graduate, is working in an IT company, very successful. He told me that he didn't just, when we spoke to him, he said that he didn't just learn science and math and computing and at our school. He also made friends with other Hasidic boys, and he learned to work and to play with them, to be a guy that is involved, to be a mensch. One of our greatest things to be life skills, to teach them how to be a mensch. We took him, to Tiulim, to many tours, to give him life skills, and he graduate with honors and the top grades. He got now a graduate certification from the Ministry of Education. But more than that, he received an excellent all-around education. That's the Netzach way, to make them perfect. So for 5-6 years, it was an attempt from some of the community. They asked me to come to speak to them in New York, in Williamsburg. They are really frustrated, and they don't know what to do with themselves. And we try, but what's the greatest obstacle here in New York? it's really hard to find great educators who are academic educators. So maybe if you want, you have parents, but still you need talented teachers to teach the kids. And this is something that is real missing in the community.
Yeah, there's an interesting question from Diane about how the sort of split happened historically. And I don't know if you have any speculation on this, Rabbi Bombach. There is a recognition that sort of Yiddish culture and more generally a Jewish thirst for learning as expressed both in Torah and in secular topics after the Enlightenment. But the camps of how to study and what to study went in silos, in a sense, and frankly, arguably in an extremely successful way within their silos in terms of depth and level of sophistication. But are you learning anything now about why that split happened in such a profound way? And maybe more to your work, what have you learned that actually bridges and brings those two bodies of knowledge and thirst for knowledge together?
Wow, great question. Thank you. Yes, historically, we know, I just want to tell for all of you that the Ultra-Orthodox community have real fear, and we need to understand it, because if we want to preserve our values, everybody knows, I think the majority in the world knows that the terrible results of everything is possible and the super individuals. And this is not about conservative issues. It's about they're afraid they're going to lose something. And we believe that we all the tradition, it's really fear. But what I'm saying that if we are not taking risk, the risk to the stagnation is much more terrible. Because if you're not going to understand there is a new world, everything is going to change. I like this story for 4 or 5 years ago. It was here in America, a huge event against technology with 60,000 people joined the event. And how we know about that? Because the majority of the people that joined the event recorded with their iPhone, yes, the event. So it's crazy. You scream something against, but you lose the war. So you need to find new tools, new ways, new tactics, new how to deal with the new world. You cannot speak with the same language. Things change, but it comes from a real fear. But what I want to say is more when something is made compulsory, like adding secular subjects to yeshiva curriculums, we see protest and refusal. Once it's not compulsory, now that all schools receive government funding irrespective of what they teach. And we may find that they start to include math and English and curriculum as a choice because the parents want it, not because the government compels them. So we are talking about a community that is afraid of change, but they are even more afraid of being compelled to change. So we need to be very sensitive. We need to have fully respectful and atheist, or I guess this is something that's never result. I have very great story. For many years ago, passed away a woman, Bambi Shelig. I worked together with her, a room next to her. She was a famous and extraordinary woman. I'm sure Yossi know her very well. And I asked her once, because we worked together in Mandel, I worked in Mandel Institute. So I asked her, Bambi, what's going to happen in the coming years? And then she described me, she has a theory, very nice story about the pizza of Bambi. Just imagine a pizza and every slice present a community. And if you look in the center of the pizza, you're going to see that we are much more closer to each other. Even you can see Arab, Charedi, traditions, all kinds of communities, everyone. In the center of the pizza, we are much more closer to each other. We're the same community in the edge, because the edges is there to stay. And there are, those communities are extreme in all kinds of communities. So our mission is just to focus to wider our common goods. to make much more. I sit with Yossi, I feel like a close friend, and I fully respect even his different. And this is what Yossi mentioned in the beginning. We are about arguments, not hate, not fight. We need to respect each other. And this is what my students need to know. You can stay who you are. You don't need to compromise, but we are brothers. It's important to remember that wherever you see, on the news about what is happening in Israel, and then we are all brothers. Together, we can make this work. Absolutely.
Well, you just brought a very warm memory in invoking Bambi Shelig's name. And I remember her describing the pizza analogy. So it's very apropos. I want to give you, Yossi, go ahead.
I would like to say one thing, really, which is very important to understand. You have to realize that in every community in Israel, it can be Charedim, it can be secular, it can be religious Zionists, it can be Bedouins, it can be Arabs, it can be Palestinians. In all these communities, most of the people seek to have honest life, jobs for their kids, respect, feeling of justice, working with others, reaching to each other. The minority of extremists within all of us, within the secular, within the left, within the right, within the Arabs, within the Jews, are spoiling the thing. But Rabbi Bombach, who is really, I think, an icon of a great human being, represent hundreds and thousands and tens of thousands Charedim which want to reach out. I think the tragedy that we are facing now, that somehow as a society, we lost some of the solidarity, we lost some of the common grounds, and people are yearning to have it. And I think this is the hope of the country. The hope of the country is in accommodating each other, not in increasing the gaps and the disagreement. This was just a side comment. Wayne, back to you.
Just Rabbi Bombach, we're coming up on the top of the hour, so I want to give you one last question focused on Yossi's optimism in his last comment. You were mentioning before when we were all discussing the book Tipping Point, and I'm wondering for you, looking forward and thinking about that question Yossi first asked about you in the future, what do you think it's going to take now that you have this model of 12 schools and it's growing, the Charedi community is also growing? What will be the tipping point for you when you know that systemically there's some kind of change in the way that education is done, in a way that benefits best the whole community and the whole country?
So I want to say that Rabbi Dr. Jonathan Sachs, who was an inspiring thinker and a great influencer for me, said optimism is the belief that things are going to get better. Hope is the belief that we can make things better. Optimism is a passive virtue. Hope is an active one. And it takes no courage to be an optimist, but it does need courage to hope. And I really believe that we are going in a great movement. It's not easy, but I feel many rabbis, even inside the community, they're going to support those kinds of movements. It's about to strengthen our community. It's about strengthening Israel. And what for me, important, when your grandsons will come to visit Israel in the coming years, they will find a strong and normal Israel.
Menachem,
Well,
before we finish, we got a number of requests of people who want to get in touch with you. So are you willing to share with us your email, if you have email? I don't know if the invention of email arrived to Bet Shemesh.
Absolutely, absolutely. I will be very happy, and I need help, and we need support, and everyone who has some ideas, I will really, really appreciate it.
So your email, please.
So
email
I'm writing my email in chat right now. That the best way to get right now to us. Let's see if there's the chat one. Yeah, there's the chat. I'm writing now.
And we already have the website in there as well, so people should definitely visit the Netzach.org website and to learn more why Rabbi Bombach is putting his own contact information into the chat for people who want to reach out directly. Please do so. But I think ending on the word and the active verb of hope is a good way to end our episode today. We hope for those of you that find these episodes hopeful, we hope you'll be back next week, next Sunday, the 12th. We've got an amazing program about the Mishkan Museum of Art, which has a tremendous Judaic collection, a tremendous Israeli collection that also not a lot of people know about. It's in a different part of the country, not in the Merkaz, not in the center. So come back. It's going to be a super Sunday. Yeah, that's intended. You can watch the game in the afternoon if you'd like to, but before that, you'll see some really inspiring artwork here with us at America-Israel Friendship League. So everybody, to Dr. Vardi, to Rabbi Bombach, to להתראות, have a safe week. Thank you for being with us for this inspiring episode.
Thank you.